Hello and welcome to BEN, the Business and Employment News Network. I'm your host, Jeanette and you are watching Women in Business, the show dedicated to profiling the unique journey of female entrepreneurship. Roll up your sleeves because today we are sitting down with female entrepreneur behind the Sill, Eliza Blank. The Sill was created with a simple ambition to inspire people to bring more of the outdoors in. Its mission is to make the experience of discovering the perfect potted plants as wonderful as the plants themselves. The Sill is the source that bridges the gap between plants and people, offering products and services that fit with your personal style, your lifestyle, and your budget. The Sill's commercial design services have greened up the offices of Kate Spade, The Vine, Bitly, and Twitter. The Sill has received countless press from outlets including The Today Show, Lucky Magazine, and Huffington Post Live. Founder Eliza Blank oversees the Sill's 2 brick-and-mortar locations and nationwide presence, maintains a rich personal site, and amidst all this, also manages to be married. Her motto is keep growing. So Eliza, let's start with talking about what originally planted the idea of the Sill.
I first thought of the Sill actually when I was in school here in New York. I was really craving having a little bit more greenery at home, and I realized right away how difficult that was. And that light bulb went off and I thought, well, this could be a really interesting business idea here in New York. And so I really put that idea on a shelf and kind of sat with it. And it wasn't until about 6 years later that I pulled it off the shelf, thought it was still a really fantastic idea, and went and pursued launching the Sill.
So I know that you waited until the timing felt right and you really professionally had the experience and many aspects of your life lined up to begin the Sill. But even then, what curveballs did female entrepreneurship throw your way?
You can plan and plan and plan, but until the moment you launch, you really have no idea what you're getting into. And from the very first moment, it was all still guesswork. You know, will people like this? Will they respond to it? From the very first moment that the Sill launched, we're acting and responding and changing and restructuring and redrafting everything that we do.
What advice do you have for female entrepreneurs out there?
Typically, when people ask me about entrepreneurship, the first thing I always talk about is your passion. You know, are you passionate about this problem? Do you want to solve it? Can you imagine yourself wanting to dedicate, the next 5 or 10 years of your life to this? So a lot of the time, people might have a great idea or just a great work ethic, but it really comes down to the longevity and how passionate you are and how much you're really willing to put into it.
What final thoughts do you have for female entrepreneurs?
Everyone's different and people are going to run their businesses differently and they're going to have different values and different systems. Some people are super organized, some people aren't, some people wake up really early, some people don't. I don't think there's a real formula.
Have you developed some habits over the years that you want to talk about?
I've never worked so hard. I've never thought so much about one problem or one customer, but I think ultimately I chose to be an entrepreneur because I knew me as a person, I work hard, so if I'm going to work this hard, I want it to be for something I believe in and something for myself.
Talk about managing your team and what you've learned about that.
This is not a one-woman show. This is not even close to possible doing as one person. And so it was really, finding people who come to work because they enjoy it, not just because it's a paycheck. The position that I'm in, which is fantastic, is that I get to build that team and I get to surround myself with smart people who I enjoy being around, who I believe in as equally as they believe in me.
Let's talk about some of the challenges. Were there ever challenges so great that they almost got the best of you?
Every day is hard, and every moment there's a win, there's a fail. There's always the up and down, and that will never change. If you're moving in the right direction, your problems, they'll actually just get bigger. You have small problems if you're a small business. If you become a big business, you actually end up having bigger problems. So we have big problems all the time. I mean, we've tried a lot of things that never worked out, but they say fail fast. Face it head on and try and move past it as fast as possible. And don't let it drag you down.
I love that you say fail fast and then just move on. What are some other important lessons that you've learned along the way?
You can't affect the game that was on Sunday, you know? You can't really think about the past. You can only really focus on the future. So, you know, it's always good to sort of do your postmortem, think about what you could have done better so you can apply it to future scenarios, but don't dwell. For whatever challenge that we faced, we try and just take that as a learning to apply for future success. Oftentimes you forget, like, oh wow, I just did this amazing thing, and you know, taking that moment to congratulate yourself.
Well, that does it for another inspiring episode of Women in Business. We hope that you feel compelled to get started right where you are, and maybe you learned a little bit about plants along the way.